$1 million. You're either born with it, or you must earn it. And in this series, we'll earn it. Welcome to the road to $1 million company. My name is Jérémie. I'm the CEO and founder of Hornet Energy. And today, for the first episode of a weekly series, it'll be a story time on how we launched the business. So before that, very quickly, I want to mention the reasons of the series. Very simple. So the goal is that when I'm 80 years old, I'll have a log and I'll have some documentation of me building this business from the ground up. And I mean, of course, it adds to the whole brand, I guess, and everything. But the main goal is just to have something to look at when I'll be done. Let's just dive straight into it. So very, very simply, I've been working out since I was 15 years old. I was very young, very skinny. I was about 6 foot tall for 130 pounds at that time. A real skinny kid, and obviously when you're that skinny, you want to gain some muscle. You want to look nice. So that's what I did. I joined the gym. I started lifting. I was always a natural lifter. I'm not that big or anything. But the idea of this comes from the fact that all my peers were taking pre-workout at the time. That is full of caffeine, full of chemicals. And I've always been more natural in my approach. I've always been eating very clean as a main source of energy and nutrition. I've barely ever relied on protein powders. Never mind creatine. I've never taken creatine before. I've always been a very natural lifter. The goal was never for me to be huge. I just wanted to look decent. So all my peers were taking pre-workouts, chemical stuff, and sometimes, even though I didn't take anything at that time, sometimes I did feel like I needed some energy. After a long day, you drag yourself in the gym. It's good to have some fuel to help you out. But I was not going to take pre-workouts that are full of chemicals and full of caffeine. So I did my research, and I found that honey was a really good energizer in general. Now, I started off by doing some tests, and that was about a year ago, more like 11 months. Today would be 17th of November, 2023. I've had the idea, I think it was end of December last year, so it's been about a year, 11 months. So I started doing some testing myself. I used to bring my big ass pot of honey and like a big old spoon and just take some in the gym. Looking a bit crazy, but who cares? And the first day that I ever did take honey, I was doing my deadlift day. And beforehand, my PR was it must have been like 365 pounds, 3 plates 25 on each side, which is decent, but that was my PR from the summer, or like September, October or something. And I had been really working out, and at that point I was repping 365, but that day I took a big old spoon of honey for the first time, and I think I deadlifted something like 440 pounds or some ridiculous jump that I had no idea I could attain. Now obviously there's other factors. I wore a belt for the first time and other things, but I just felt like I had so much energy. It was ridiculous, and it was just honey, right? Just honey, but it does work. And the fact that I could find something that was all natural and that it worked for me, that I didn't have to compromise my health or do any kind of deal with the devil to get a decent source of energy, I was really happy with that. And myself, I'm a student. I'm a finance student, so I'm always looking at things in a business way. So I figured, why not do something about this? I think that many people could actually benefit from taking honey. So we did. We started off with that. I said to myself, how could I, make it more efficient? And I saw like a ketchup packet at once, and I thought about this right there. And the idea was born. That was about 10 months ago at that time, at this point. But still, like that. I've had businesses before. This is actually my third business. The first one was business. They were more like passion projects, but they still had some profit oriented goals, so you can call it a business. So first one was a news channel on YouTube and everything. We did like political debates around COVID lockdowns, around Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. And the point of these were like really to show, not truth, because truth is a wild concept that's not easily defined, but more to have a debate about both sides, discussing the topic and seeing their differences and just, trying to come together. That was the whole goal. That got shut down because we talked about COVID too much. And whether you like it or not, when you present both sides, you present a side that's, well, I'm gonna shut up. And after that, I had a social media marketing agency. So we went around to restaurants, local restaurants, and did some marketing. Went pretty decent, had a few clients overall, but nothing crazy, nothing that serious. But I always wanted to have a business where I cared about a product, where I designed the whole thing myself, and I really cared about the success of it, and I believed in it more than anything. And with this, I had that. So I started to draw some logos. I've always been pretty good at drawing, but I came up with the actual logo. I drew it myself. You can see here. It's, if my camera is going to focus. Come on, mate. There we go. As February 8th, 2023, Hornet Energy. Never mind this. That's a second logo that I had in mind. But yeah, that was what it was, Hornet Energy. And then after that, I drew the, I don't know if you can see clearly, because I'm blocked by my own journal, but that's the first ever sachet that I drew. That was about the same time. And I mean, you might have noticed the name on the sachet says Sting Energy. That was the original name, although the other one was written Hornet. It was always like either, but we went with Sting at the start. Until we found out that there was a small company by the name of PepsiCo, you might have heard of them, that owned a trademark for Sting Energy. And listen, between two small companies, why the hassle of, lawsuits and stuff? Let's just choose Hornet, And Hornet was born. That was the start of Hornet Energy. But that's not as simple as this. Like, there's a whole list of things you have to do to launch a business, as you might have guessed, and as you might know. So where to go from there? So very simply, I just made a big ass to-do list, and I just started to attack it. So the main components of this to-do list was, number one, manufacturing. That was number one priority. Can I make this product, myself? Can I outsource it? I need some answers. So I had no idea how the whole manufacturing world worked at all. I mean, I'm 22 years old. I mean, I was 21 at the time. My only background in the food industry was one shift at a restaurant. I was busboy and I quit afterwards because I was full of guacamole and sour cream. So I have no background whatsoever in the food industry. So I had to figure shit out. So before I started to figure out everything, I needed to find a honey supplier, just so we can have the viability of our project. I reached out to it must have been more than 300. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's 300. I didn't count them, but it was a lot of suppliers, a lot of them, and only one said yeah, which actually are our current suppliers. So I went to them and I started to talk about my project, and they liked it. I obviously made them sign an NDA, but yeah, they liked it, and I was like, well, how do I make this? Do you guys know? And they had no idea too. So I was on my own. But that very same day, I went, well, I'm not gonna just find the answers by a miracle. I need to go and find them. So I knew that I needed some packaging solutions. So that day I had a meeting with my suppliers of honey, and I just went knocking on doors and trying to find some answers. So that day I remember I was feeling really determined, and I just knocked on people that were packaging food, because there is an industrial town, if you will, like a part of the town. And I just went knocking on doors, asking people like, hey, I'm trying to do this. Can you guys, direct me towards something? Knocked on a few doors, same old questions, same old answer. No, I have no idea, whatever. And by an off chance, I went to a store that sells used restaurant equipment. And I asked him, hey, I'm 21, I want to do this project. Do you know where I could go with this? How can I do this? And he goes, well, I don't know. I mean, he spoke French, but whatever. And he said, I don't know, but you should go see these guys. They're in this town, whatever. Just go there and ask him. I was like, perfect, fine. So I go where first of all, I get in my car, I go on Google Maps and I type in the place and there's no such thing. So I was like, fuck. So I was like, damn, another dead end. How to go with this? So I scouted the area around that place on Google, and I found this random place that was packaging foods, and I was like, well, let's just fucking ask him. Fuck it. So I went there. I opened the front door, and there's no entrance. It's just like a staircase to the right. So I go up there, and it's like a dining area for employees. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So I get back down, and I dialed our customer service, and I say, hey, same old speech. My name is Jérémie. I'm 21 years old. I have this project in mind. I need some information. Can you have someone that I can talk to? And customer rep says, I don't know. Let me dial you into head of manufacturing. I was like, oh shit, okay. Head of manufacturing calls, same old speech. I don't know, same answer. Let me dial you into the VP of sales. I was like, fuck it, I'll fucking take it. So VP of sales calls up and says, who the fuck are you? Literally, he says, who the fuck are you? I was like, I'm no one. I'm just a kid. I have this project in mind. I need some answers about manufacturing. Can you spare like 5 minutes of your time? I'd be so thankful. And he says, yeah, where are you now? And I said, I'm literally at your plant, literally. And he's like, all right, just go around the back. I'll be there and we'll talk for a few minutes. I was like, perfect. So I go around the back. I knock on the door at the reception. Some guy opened. I was like, hey, I'm looking for this guy that I just called. And he goes, who? I was like, well, this guy. I said his name. His name was Richard. And he says, I don't know what the fuck that is. So he goes in the shop, goes around, looks for Richard, comes back to me after 5 minutes or so and says, there's no Richard here. And I was like, what the fuck? And at the same time, I get a call from Richard saying, where are you? I was like, well, I'm at your plant. And he goes, like, which plant? Which plant? Because we have more than one. And I was like, oh, this one in this city. Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm in that city. I was like, oh, shit. I'll be there in 15 minutes. I just hop in my car, go there. And I had this meeting with this guy, and he just told me everything I had to know about food packaging. Yeah, so after that, I knew where to look for. I knew what kind of machine we needed. So the whole self-manufacturing part was figured out on how to do it, but that's nothing, right? It's knowledge, it's not practice. Like, we still have to order a machine and everything, but whatever. So at the time, we were exploring, also to have our product white labeled if possible, but we couldn't find anyone. So the self-manufacturing part was evident. So I started to do some research. We have to buy a machine to produce what we do, or our products. And a machine that's made in Canada, a good one, will cost you about $200,000. Now, I didn't have that kind of money at all. So I continued looking, and I had to scrape off that part of the project. And I looked in China, and I found this machine. This machine we paid about $12,000 for, and I found on a YouTube video. Yeah, I found on a YouTube video. I just typed on YouTube by an off chance. I just typed honey packaging machine, and I found a video about this machine. A company called Machinery in China, and I just DM'd them on WhatsApp, got a quote. I was like, let's fucking do it. So I had to pay up front this machine, $12,000. I had to literally send $12,000 of my own money to a random address in China, a random address. In Jiangnan City, I had no idea it even existed at the time, but I was like, well, I have this idea in mind. I know it's gonna work. It's a really good idea. If I don't send the money now to this random guy in China, I can just forget about the project because I can't outsource it. I can't buy a Canadian machine. I probably could if I found the right loans, but I didn't want to put myself in $200,000 to $300,000 of debt for a project that, frankly, had no guarantee of success. So we took the risk, and it paid. But it's obviously, once again, not that simple, because when you buy a machine from China, the communication, number one, is woeful. Not because they're bad people, it's just that they speak Chinese, you speak English, so the translation sometimes is not the best, but more than that, it's just the communication is not good. If you can't see the machine in person, you don't know what you're getting, he's just sending you a picture, who knows if it's your machine, a variety of questions. But we went with it. He said it was going to take us a month to manufacture the machine, and about 2 weeks to ship by plane. And if you don't care about time, you can do by boat. It's much cheaper, but it's going to take 2 months or something. So I was like, well, and that was about in March. Yeah, I think March. Yeah, March. And I was like, we'll do plane shipping because I mean, one of my mottos in business is speed of execution. That's all that I care about, is how fast we can get things done. That's my number one thing. So I was like, well, we need to launch May. Like, start of May, I'll be done with school. And at the time, I had said no to a few internships that looked pretty good. I was like, I need to start this by May so I don't waste my summer. So I said, let's go. Let's order it. I'm going to send you the money. Let's do plane shipping. Let's get it. So after a month and a half, I think, it took a bit longer than expected, and we're down to about mid-April now. I said to the guy, the guy sends me a few pictures of the machine, and it's good. He sends me a video of the machine working, and it's making little sachets that are transparent with some honey inside. I was really happy to see that. And I was like, perfect, let's arrange shipping. And he just goes radio silent like for 2 weeks. And 2 weeks in the grand scheme of things, I've had this idea for 11 months, seems pretty short. But when you just send 12K to a Chinese person that you don't know, and there's really good odds that you're getting scammed, 2 weeks seems like an eternity. And I just kept waiting, and I remember like at the time, we had a meeting, me and the other people in the team, which I haven't talked yet, more in a few seconds. And one of the guys asked me like what about the machine? Because we're talking about marketing and all these things, and he says, what about the machine? Because without the machine, we can't do shit. And I was like, well, about the machine, it's paid. It's supposed to be shipped in the coming days, but we'll see what happens. I have no idea. And the stress in that moment was insane. It was crushing, to be honest. But after a few weeks of waiting, we're now about end of April. I get a text message of a big old crate, and he says it's ready to go. So I said, let's go, let's get it. So, so many things happened between that time because I wanted to be done fast and everything. We're now in about start of May, and he says, okay, it's going to be sent pretty soon. But so many things happen, and it's so late. I'm not getting any like FedEx numbers like for tracking. It just takes a long time. And I think like start of June, I finally get a message. Here's your FedEx tracking number. And I was so happy to see that because now I could see, okay, arriving in Montreal in X amount of weeks, X amount of days, whatever. And I could finally see the machine happening. So I wait. And I think it was the 21st of June. I get a crate. Big old like 12 or big old 14-wheeler comes in on my street, little tiny street, and drops off a machine that's worth 12K like on my in my driveway. I was like, fine, I'll just go pick up a U-Haul and I'll store it in my friend's garage for a while. Whatever. But the machine came broken. Of course, nothing's perfect in life, but the machine came broken. The crate that they had sent the machine in was not strong at all, and it had broken. Other things in transport bashed it in. It broke one of the main pieces, and that cost us so much time and money because we couldn't do tests, and I had ordered like samples, and I had already ordered the actual sachets, like the whole film rolls. So we already had paid for that, so I couldn't test them because of that, which is a crucial mistake. And I'm all about speed. I'm all about speed of execution, but sometimes patience is required. And so I go to a welder near me. He tries to make the same piece, doesn't work. $600 in the trash bin, literally. More than that, the sachets were gone to waste, and while we were waiting for the new piece from China, now that the piece came, we did some trials with the old sachets, and they were not flexible enough to work in this machine. So we had to scrap that. And on the old sachets, there was a wrong information. So I had to buy 30,000 little stickers to stick on every single one of them, and I bought that before. That's all on me, right? Like, I'm all about speed of execution, but sometimes you should learn to, relax and take things one at a time, and don't do things without guarantee. You have to weigh it out. It's a question of balance. Sometimes you have to take the risk, like I did with the machine. But for everything else, I should have waited for this to come, then do some tests with samples, and I would have saved so much money and time as well, because we had to order new sachets afterwards. That was about early August at this point. And I said to the guy, like, I'm starting school in a month. Can we get sachets done before then? And he says, yeah, that should be good. I kid you not, we got the sachets early October, so like a month ago from now. So yeah, and when we got these new sachets and they're working, now production is really fine. I've got like a fuck ton of sachets right there, about 200 there that are ready to be shipped and handled. And yeah, that's where we are. So I didn't talk about the design of boxes, the final cuts of the sachets, the team assembly. We're 3 in the team. There's myself, I'm the CEO. There's Madi, CMO, and there's Kevin. Kevin is the Chief Sales and Partnerships Officer, so CSPO or whatever you want to call this. And frankly, I think we have an amazing team. There's obviously some friction between us because we're 3 young guys. We're all 22, and we're always together trying to make this company work. So there's obviously a lot of friction happening, but I love it. I absolutely love this shit. So yeah, so we officially launched, I think it was October 24th, so about 3 weeks ago from now. So about 3 weeks ago, and so far we surpassed like $1,200 in sales or so, and it's looking pretty good. We have some pretty heavy stuff lined up for next week. So yeah, I think that brings us to an end of this episode. It's about 20-25 minutes long. It is long, but it's the whole story, and I know it's not like I don't care about clickbait. I don't care about the 10-minute rule for YouTube. I'm just making content for the sake of it, to record myself when I was doing this business and to have a log and everything, as I said. But yeah, I think that does it for this episode. You guys get the whole picture of the company, and as I said, I want to bring you guys along with me, and I want you to see the evolution from these little sachets that I showed you earlier to something quite large. We've got really good hopes, really good plans happening, and many more lines of product that are happening really soon. I'm really excited for these. And yeah, you'll see a deep dive in marketing, strategy, finances, financing, leadership, management, the whole thing, accounting, whatever. Like, I'll be really, and I mean really transparent with this idea. And yeah, I think that does it. I'm pretty sure I'm not forgetting anything. But so far we've had amazing support from friends and family and gyms that we actually sell with, because I think we're selling in about 6 gyms, 6 centers right now, which is really good. We do demos, so what we do is we message a gym and we say to them, hey, we have this new product, can we do a demo in your gym? So we go to the gym and we just give out samples to their customers, and then we just ask for nothing in exchange. And once that's done, their customers like it or not. Most often than not, more often than not, they actually do like it. And we say to them, well, we could sell you our boxes. We have a special deal for distributors, which they get a hefty cut. And we do too. We remain a good amount of revenue from our sales. But yeah, that's just how we roll. And in those demos, we've gotten a few sales, and overall, this amounts to about $1,200 in revenue. And yeah, I mean, in a more philosophical way, I don't want to talk too much. I'm not one to talk that much in general, but it feels great. And this is what I want to be doing with my life, that I know of. I mean, I don't know myself fully, like nobody really does at 22. But from what I know, I think that what I want to do with the rest of my life is be an entrepreneur. I've had these dreams of myself, leading a team, like in a commercial space and everything. I've had these dreams for a long time, and yeah, it just feels great. I feel like, it's obviously tough because I'm a full-time student. I run this business. I work part-time. I try to work out, and I have a social life. I try to. And it's a lot, but it's the life I chose. I wouldn't trade that for anything else. And frankly, I don't think there's anything that's worth it as much as this right now. So let's fucking send it. It's very simple, but yeah, let's just send it.